us more stressed. Please continue. Tell your story on another place. But don't do it at our front door. You were standing at her back.
Everyone has shut up shop. Karaoke bars, massage bars, restaurants, all closed. Only places open are the art galleries. I mean, they're not really art galleries, they're just places where people make paintings. But that is all. The massage joints are all closed. Let's see what's open in this alleyway. Ooh, tight squeeze. Alright, let's see what's open in the alleyways. The banana stands are still open. Massage places are closed. I don't know if it's only District 1 or all over the city, but there's a new regulation out that karaoke bars, massage parlors, bars, yeah, a few other things are closed. Discos, dance places, they're all closed, mate. This cat is gonna go out of business. It's gonna declare bankruptcy. The laundromat's still open. The laundromat. So if you want clean clothes and bananas, you're in luck. Otherwise, you are SOL. Shite. Out of luck.
Chưa mở biết chân là mở của người làm á. Mở trong hẻm đó phải không?
Yeah, it's all closed. This area is in total shutdown. Like all the massage places.
Mấy quỷ thì corona là bà đủ má nó, sao cái mặt nạ nó không đeo vào mặt nó mà đứng nó xì xì hoài trời. Okay, you go. Not here, okay?
Okay.
You go now. No camera.
Okay.
Hang it up too many why you don't handle this? You go.
I have a mask.
You go.
I have a mask.
No, Chinese too many you go now.
I'm not Chinese.
You go out now.
I'm not Chinese.
Not camera here.
I can film anywhere. I'm on the street, lady. I'm on the street. Why are you getting so aggressive?
Go.
Sorry?
Maybe you go now. We are too busy.
Go now, go.
So are you saying that I can't film on a public street?
You can, but please continue.
I'm on my way out, man. You don't have to swear and like make a big scene. I'm just filming a street like many other people have done, sir.
Too many corona.
Apparently, it's a new law that you can't walk up and down a public street and film. But that is a very good example of the discrimination against Chinese people. Despite America bombing the hell out of Vietnam, they love Americans here, but they hate Chinese. You know, even though America has destroyed Vietnam, sprayed chemicals on Vietnam, they love America, but they hate Chinese. So because I'm Chinese, you'll see the Vietnamese are very aggressive towards me, even though I'm just filming. I'm not hurting anyone, not causing any trouble, but just walking down the street, you'll get a crazy reaction like that woman there. She swore at me, said I wasn't wearing a face mask. As you can see, I am wearing a face mask, so it does not make any sense what she said. She said I'm not wearing a face mask, and she also said I'm Chinese, which I'm not Chinese. So very like something a little bit wrong with her. And the guy even told me to stop filming, even though it's a public street. You can go on YouTube and you can see thousands, literally thousands of people filming on this street.
Because you're watching us.
Alright guys, so as you can see, that's the reaction you'll get if you're Asian looking. A white guy would never get this reaction, sir. You know that. Do you agree? if you're white, you can go and film anywhere, but if you're Asian, people will make trouble for you. And you know, that's an unfortunate fact, but that's just what you got to cope with. And you know, I'm not ranting about that, but I just want to point out the reality to any Vietgils, any Vietnamese, any Chinese, any Asian looking people that want to come to Vietnam. Be prepared for discrimination, because you know, they love whitey here. I mean, imagine if I did some of the stuff that white vloggers have done, just walk into people's houses off the street. I'm getting sworn at just for walking down a public street, you know, and I'm not carrying the GoPro in a really obnoxious way. It's just attached to my person. But yeah, that woman went off the rails, went off the bloody rails. But for sure, that's one reaction you'll never get if you're a white guy in Asia. You're not going to get swearing women right off the plate, man. Like 5 seconds into meeting you, swearing in your face. But yeah, I mean, it didn't put me off because I already understand that. I think I've stated as much in my previous videos. But it's pretty sad, mate. It's pretty sad that Vietnam and maybe Germany are the two biggest self-hating countries in the world. Germany's more obvious, more overt, but Vietnam is, I wouldn't say they hate themselves, but they have a really heavy inferiority complex. And if you're a smart person, you can understand why. And Vietnamese are smart people, so they, you know, there's a lot of subconscious lessons that they take in from media to force this mentality on them. But yeah, I think those are the real life impacts that people that spread misinformation about Chinese are having, like people like Spencer and his ilk. They're creating a very dangerous environment for Chinese or Chinese looking people, where people are very prone to violence, much more prone to violence in encounters with Chinese people than with any other race, because you know, they've been branded as these organ harvesters, disease spreaders, live animal eaters, blah blah blah. I mean, if you look at the actual facts, the Chinese are the most peaceful ethnicity in any country that they've immigrated to. They're law-abiding, they have lower rates of criminality, rape, murder, psychopathy. But somehow they've been branded as one of the worst groups in the world. And you know, a lot of people, you know what does the rounds? These videos about bad Chinese tourists, like the ugly Chinese tourists. But the truth of the matter is, most of them are invisible. They're just contributing to the economy in a very harmless way. You know, they just come here, eat the food, buy souvenirs, and go home. They're not destroying the culture. They're not creating pockets of vice. They're not creating dens of prostitution and drugs like the tourists that come to Asian countries. And for that, the Chinese are rewarded by being branded as the worst, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the thing is, no one is going to speak for the Chinese tourists because there's no incentive. Like, they don't have social media. They're not going to reward your posts with likes. They're not going to subscribe to your channel. They don't have YouTube accounts. So what's the point in appealing to the Chinese market? You may as well just bash on the Chinese and you'll get 98+% support. But just use your eyes, guys. I mean, the Chinese have the smaller eyes, but you guys need to open up your eyes and look at the truth. You don't see Chinese coming to Vietnam and robbing places, even though they're the #1 tourist group. You know, if they're ugly tourists and they're bad tourists, you would have seen them. But you don't see them, mate. They're just like invisible. They're a beneficial force. But similar to the case with the girl Gil in the green dress, if you are just a benevolent, you know, force, you don't stand up for yourself, you don't have a countering voice to put your view across, then people just speak over you and paint you and tar you with a bad brush. You know how in the video with the girl Gil, they were saying that she swears and that she shows off her bike and her cookies and her money, and that she's rude and that she tattletales. But isn't it a surprise that she was there, she was present, but she did none of those things? And you may say maybe she's just two-faced, maybe she's underhand and only does that in private. But for one, the girl's only 6 years old. And the second thing is, she didn't swear once in the whole time we were there, but also she didn't have the temerity to speak because the other voices were drowning her out. The other kids were speaking for her. Even when I asked her name, they answered for her. So you can see who has the upper hand in that relationship. And they're trying to tell us that she's the bully and she's the bad person. Sometimes you gotta keep a critical mind and think about, wait a minute, it's only one voice I'm hearing. It's only one bloody voice I'm hearing, one side of the story I'm hearing here. I need to like weigh up whether that voice is reliable. Whether that voice is truthful. And most of the time when you only hear one voice, one side of the story, then they're going to be pushing a very vested interest, a particularly slanted point of view. So yeah, just be aware of that, because it's particularly in evidence with the portrayal of Chinese people. And a lot of these people that counter my claims, you know, like Bogdan was saying, oh, Chinese people are like this and that. I mean, yes, I don't really blame them because they're imbibing a lot of the propaganda about China, the anti-Chinese propaganda, and they just spit it out. Because a lot of his talking points were from the Spencer channel. I'm very familiar with these talking points because they're the exact things that Spencer publicizes on his channel about how China is releasing a lot more gases and emissions than other countries, blah blah blah. How they're brainwashed, blah blah blah. It's like, really, dude, America is the real brainwashed nation. But they all think they're free. And a lot of these guys are really, really forthright about their views, even though I know they haven't spent any time in China. It's like, how can you be that sure about something you've only seen via a computer screen?